Hello again, and today, as the title suggests, I'm going to be mucking around with some diesels, having spent loads and loads of time lately uh, hooning about in electric thingies on the German railways. Had a bit of a hankering for it last night, and was playing about with them on my main account, so I thought, right, yeah, I know what we need to do next time. Next time I'm on the other account, the streaming account. So here we are. Um, let's have a play around with this first. So I'm going to be doing a service in the 66, which is going to be. Let me just change the paint jobby. Let's have the EWS. Nice. And we'll make it a rainy day, I think. Right, that's fine. And I want that one. Right, so westbound with what do you call them? Just the flatbed container car things. Now, I hadn't done any of these since way back. I did all these when the game first launched, and they were pretty boring, to be honest with you. They seem to be really, really good now, though. There's much more to do on them, so more traffic means more signals, means you actually have to do some driving. Way, which is always nice. So, start off in Acton Yard. We don't want the cab lights themselves on. We want the desk lights. We want the instrument lights. That light's fine. We want the wipers on. I'm convinced this has been moved. I'm sure you used to have to stand up and go walk over there to do the wipers for the other side, but never mind. So in the fuse cabinet, if you want the AWS and the DSD on, there's the AWS fuse. Just acknowledge it when you turn it on, and one of these bad boys down here is DSD. There we go. And everything else should be basically already set up for us. All we should need to do is put the reverser into forward, and then just make sure we've got the train brake selected. And in fact, I've just realised I've got a whole load of stuff on this screen that I don't want. Just swap back over to Imperial just now. And I'm going to get rid of the main speed display there. So, make sure we've got the train brake selected, the automatic brake. You hold the release button down and you need to keep it held, and these wee needles here will all zero themselves. And off we pop. So just keeping a wee eye on the amps there. We don't want to go too high, or it might trip the... it's like a safety thing. It just disengages it all, and you've got to sit and close it all off and open it again. It's a pain in the bum. So you don't need to go too quickly in the sidings. About 15k. 15k? No, we're not on the DB anymore, Scotty. We're about 15 miles an hour. 20 miles an hour or so when you're in the sidings will do it. Right, I'm just going to get back into the cab just now so I can watch the lights as I go out onto the main line. Okay, so we can pick it up a little bit as we come out onto the slow lines here, but we're going to be crossing onto uh, the other line just to the left there. Takes forever to get the speed up in this thing anyway, so you don't really need to worry about going too fast into the early sets of points. And I think the speed limit along here, I'm not sure, I'm keeping an eye open for the speed limit signs on the left there, because the line speed, the maximum line speed, if you use the HUD display and this thing up here, they're not necessarily the speed that the freight trains are allowed to go at. You'll sometimes see two speed limit signs. One of them will have the letters MU on it, and the other one will have no letters on it, and the freight train follows the one with no letters if that's the case. It's often just a bit slower than the multiple units will be going. It's definitely not as low as 40 though, so I've got no worries picking a bit of speed up just now. It's the back of a sign, that's no use to me. Still just keeping my eyes peeled for a speed limit sign. As soon as I've seen one of those, I'll be able to start looking elsewhere other than dead ahead all the time. I'm gonna just level it off at 60 until I'm certain what the limit is. Right, 80, that's fine. And that other diddy little signpost behind that was just to do with traffic crossing the point, so it's not relevant to us. In fact, I think I've got the AWS, the DSD turned on as well, so I better not be outside for too long, because you don't always hear it, and we're getting signals, so I was kind of hoping we would get that. So this is quite a busy time of the day that we're out, and we're going to be getting slotted in around mainline traffic and express trains and what have you, so there's quite a lot of signals, and we'll be going on to the fast lines for a bit and then back onto the slow lines again, and having to sit and yield for a few things as well, so quite a lot going on this trip. It's not like the freight trains were before when the game was brand new, where it was just leave siding, get up to 80 miles an hour, stay there till Reading. It's a lot more variety to it now. So we're following a passenger service at the moment that stops ahead of us, and then we'll actually overtake it a bit later on. We'll leapfrog it eventually. So signal still red. It might have been that I think we were actually just yielding to that intercity there because we were crossing, I believe, here. In a perfect world I don't want to stop, but I might not have a choice. Fair warning now as well, there is a bit a little further up the line. There we go. So without having to come to a complete stop, we can get moving again. Yeah, fair warning, there is a red signal a bit further ahead where because we're yielding to other traffic and basically waiting to be slotted in between services, there's a decent wait at a red further up the line. In fact, first time I got there I thought the thing might have had I might have found one of the bugs, the signal bugs that used to plague the game, but no, it just turned out it's because mostly to do with the long waiting times. You're waiting on a train that you're giving way to it, but it stops at a station right beyond the signal, so it's a bit of a wait. There's no point just thundering straight back up to line speed again because we're setting off under a yellow. Right, so it's still a single yellow ahead, so there's no point in going really particularly quickly just to run into more signal problems. So we'll just we'll try not to lose any more speed though at this point. If it flicks over to a double, then we'll pick it up a little. Net. In fact, it's okay, so there's yellow and there's red. Sometimes it's a little difficult to tell when you're way off in the distance. It looks like the signal might be, you know, the one in front of you is yellow, great, and then you realise, oh shit, no, the track actually bends away in front of me there. Mine's is red. So ours is there we go. So we're now allowed to run at the Full speed is 75 for the unit. And I'm still not going to boot it because I'm still not 100% certain which of those signals is clear and which is right. So ours is now at yellow. Like I said, busy time of day on the network just now, and we're just kind of being fitted in here. So again, I can see a couple of different signals up ahead, and I'm just not rushing to throw the power down or anything till I'm certain what the picture is. Been a very long time since I've driven this route, so once upon a time, you do get, you learn it. Is the more you drive it, you learn it, and you can sort of tell just by looking. Oh yeah, okay, that's those 4 signals correspond to those 4 lines and what have you. But when you haven't done it for a few months, it's not quite as straightforward. So we're while I was talking, it went green. I did see it, have responded. So let's pick the pace up a little bit. So, if I had to guess, the train we're following, we were slowing down because it had gone into that station there. Because we obviously respond a lot more slowly than a passenger train when we're slowing down and speeding up. In the meantime, it's buggered off down the line here. Sometimes best not to look at the overhead map though, on especially on the older scenarios. It kind of breaks the illusion of realism. You sometimes, you know, you've been held at a signal or whatever, you're thinking, oh cool, this is brilliant, it's merging traffic and stuff, and then you look at the map and realise all it's actually done is held one train at a red signal for like 10 minutes until you get there to make it seem like something's happened. It's like the Wizard of Oz, man. As long as you don't look too closely behind the curtain, it all kind of works and it's sort of cool. So, still yellows. Visibility is pretty crappy, so I'm going to keep it down around 35, certainly under 40. Maybe just wind it down towards 30 a little bit. And there's reds up ahead, so let's just hop on the brakes here. And we've gone to yellow as we're coasting down, so we can just get moving again. Big difference between driving this and the German trains that I've been doing in a lot of the streams recently, of course, is This leaves a lot more in the hands of the driver approaching signals. Literally all you have to do is tell it that yes, you heard the AWS alarm going off, and it leaves everything else up to you, which is mostly good. There's arguments to be made in both favour of both methods, I suppose, but aye, it works. I have to say, I sometimes find there's just not quite as much to do when you're driving these trains sometimes, so there's just not as many kind of things to be aware of and reacting to. No, I heard DSD going off. I thought I turned it on. Maybe I've just not I've been playing with the controls the entire time. Right, so I think if I remember rightly, we're about to swap over onto the fast lines. Let's I thought I'd turned that off. Or on, rather. I have been constantly mucking around with the controls, though I haven't really left them alone for any length of time. That's probably why it's not come on. Okay, so green again, and I'm expecting to see I can't remember what you actually call them. It's the special signal, the satellites above the signal that kind of show you you're being sent off across points. I'm expecting to see one of those fairly shortly. Could also do with seeing a speed limit sign go by, because I can't remember what the limit for locomotive pulled trains is along here. Oh, there's DSD. It's very, very, very faint. Okay, so it's a 60-mile-an-hour limit for locomotive pulled trains along here, which is fine. We'll just I just caught sight of that as we flashed by it. Have a swig of my coffee. Apologies if I dragged that across my microphone there. And just above the signal, the green signal ahead, there you see the white lights are lit up showing us that we're going across a set point, so fairly vigorous braking. But perfectly doable. And no more than 40 as you go across these. I believe you're actually supposed to not go across these with your throttle open, because that puts way more load through the axles and in turn through the bits of the rail, the mechanisms and what have you. That may be old out of date information, but once upon a time it may have been specific to certain places as well, I don't know. But it's not to say I never do it if I feel like I need to make the time up, but you know, if you're one of these players who likes to try and do it as authentically as possible, then that's another wee tidbit there for you maybe. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. So once we're well clear of that set of points, let's... Yeah, it doesn't quite have the scream of the old British Rail ones, does it? But maybe have a look at something like that a wee bit later on. I thought I saw yellow up ahead here. Maybe not. Maybe not. So of course, unrestricted more or less along here. The only limit being the max speed is 75. The flatbed cars that are currently being pulled, they're absolutely fine to take up to this speed. So I don't think we'll actually be on the line long enough to get up to 75. He says as the speed sort of rapidly approaches 70 with no signs of abating. Alright, so we are going to get up to at least to around 75, fair enough. Right, so just gonna let a little bit of power out there because we're right on the red line there on the speedo. Again, the game won't punish you if you want to drive as fast as you possibly can. Go for it. It's incredibly hard for it to go really badly wrong on this game, to be fair. Leap on the brakes for the double yellow there, which is basically sort of saying proceed with caution. Down to about 40, 45 till I can see the next signal. Okay, this might be the wee delay I was talking about earlier on, where we are now going to have to sit and yield to a couple of things. So the signal is actually a fair distance down yet. They can be up to a mile apart on the main line. So you usually got a fair bit of time to react. I think there's a minimum distance of like 600 or 700 yards or something like that between them. So theoretically, you've always got time to respond to them. The easy thing to end up doing though is to come cruising along like this, thinking, I've got all the time in the world. And then you end up getting distracted looking out the window or looking at your gauges, and then the next thing you know, that signal's right in front of you because you thought you had loads of time left. And I can almost guarantee, by the way, if that happens to you, that your reaction will be to panic accelerate through it. So, definitely still a red up ahead. I'll just, we'll coast up to it slowly. Let's put a bit more brake in so we really are just trundling along. I've just noticed that the flower isn't lighting up either on the AWS. That's strange. I've never seen it not work before. Maybe just take a wee second to recycle all the settings once we've stopped the train, because I think we're going to have to. Right, there we go. So we're just going to have to stop it there, unfortunately, for now. Will be a couple of minutes before we're able to move. I'll spoil the illusion. There's a train here which has to load and unload. That will pass us before we can go, though. By the time that's left and is heading down the line, the one we just bloody well overtook is ready to come up the way, so we have to yield to him. And then and only then do we get to wait for another whole minute, in fact, because he then has to stop at that station, do his load and unload, and then he buggers off, and then we can go. So, we will be sat here for a little while, 2 or 3 minutes probably. So what smoke have you got 'em? Hey Stephen, how we doing, mate? Welcome. Super Sprinter, hello again. Welcome back. Yeah, playing about with the diesels tonight, man. Fancied a wee change, so we play about in the 66. I've got a nice wee run in the HST that I found. It's got, it's not just a flat out run from A to B necessarily, and then maybe just maybe have a wee play about on the Transpennine or something. Yeah, Super Sprinter, the magic invisible rails are on every version. Does Xbox get the invisible tunnel walls as well? So there goes one of the things that we're having to wait for. We need to now wait for him to pick his passengers up, and then we'll be released to carry on. Yeah, Great Western, man. Recently discovered that at some point since the game launched, when I did all these originally, and now all that extra traffic means that the goods trains, they're not just leave Acton Yard, drive at 70 miles an hour, stop at Reading, and vice versa. There is actually stuff to do on them. Right, so here comes that oncoming train. It was also, I think, part of the... In fact, no, I don't think that would have come into play at all. I think it's just that guy at the side. That's annoying. Seems a bit stupid to make us like go to all the effort of leapfrogging that train just to yield for it again. I think that's sort of like an attempt on their part to make it feel really busy. And it does kind of work until, like I said, until you realise how they're pulling that trick. It's okay. And this thing, I think that is actually legitimately at the station, because there are 1 or 2 services with the HST where you sit at. Now that's Slough. Maybe no, that's not Slough. That's what's the first one? The second one. Yeah, there are a couple of services that have you sitting there at that station for absolutely fucking yonks on the way out. Let's see. Your update is to do with it's putting the new class 1, the DB155 in, and it's also unlocking cross-route support for the DB182. So if you have the 182, you can now use it on all the German routes, basically. So I'm thinking the 155 should be on sale the next day or two. I wouldn't be surprised to see it. That seems to be the way they do it. I've noticed for Train Sim, they announce it like one day, Monday it's announced, and by Friday it's on sale. I'm starting to think once they've got the content out in terms of routes, that's how they're going to start hitting us with trains. It's going to be fairly non-stop. At which point, I suspect, we'll be deciding which ones are not quite so important. So there we go, there's a signal. Gone to yellow for us, so we'll just release the brakes, pop some power in, and there's no fancy schmancy magnets and electronic booby traps waiting to shout and bawl at you and slam your brakes on and stuff here. It's just pull a lever, push a lever, go. Feels like I might be dragging my brakes a little bit. No, everything's fine. And the diesels are somewhat sluggish compared to what I've been used to, I guess. So keep half an eye on the speed, but there realistically is absolutely no chance that you're going to suddenly find yourself doing 40 mile an hour before you're clear of these points. Unless you somehow manage to accidentally uncouple the whole damn train or something, I suppose, but... Okay, so just watching the signs coming up here, so still 60 miles an hour for us. That's fine. I think this is a slower stretch of line out towards Reading anyway. Right, let's give it some welly and not much longer. Now this is once we're underway again, it's a fairly quick remainder of the trip. And then back the way in something considerably faster than this, methinks. Yeah, I quite like the stop and wait things as well, Stephen. There's especially when there's time limits involved as well. That's always good. But yeah, it's there is certainly a different challenge to riding signals with big, fat, heavy trains. The principle is the same to stopping and starting at stations, but it's definitely a completely different way of going about it, and it's I quite like the different challenge it brings. Love to see something big and heavy and American freight-wise at some point, if they ever overcome the technical limitations. You're saying you only use Great Western and Transpennine there, Super Sprinter, but what I have noticed is quite often an update to one part of the game, you suddenly find it's changed all sorts of other bits that they didn't tell you in the patch notes anyway, so keep your eye out. You might notice wee tweaks and changes here and there, especially wherever they've changed universal assets. Stuff to do with lighting and things like that. Quite often an overhaul to one bit is an overhaul to all of it, so... you might find that it's probably more along the lines of performance tweaks and things like that than outright changes. I'm sure they do keep tweaking and changing things though. Oh, I'm doing considerably faster than 60 miles an hour as well, haven't I? For instance, I am absolutely certain that windscreen wiper knob there, and this is going to sound ridiculous, but I swear that you used to have to get up and stand up to reach the one on the right hand side. On the Talent 2 as well, at some point the Tempomat control button has moved, and I'm sure they've just tightened up the desk of the 125 a little bit as well, so you didn't have to quite move the camera around as much. So yeah, there's always wee tweaks and changes going on, even if they don't always tell you exactly what they've done. Being a wee bit naughty, I'm not really making any serious attempt to slow back down to the speed I should be doing, so we'll just pop a little bit of brake in there. Yeah, I would love to see more contemporary UK stuff as well. But here's why I think, and this is just the way I look at it, here's why I think we maybe shouldn't hope for too much of it, certainly to begin with. All that stuff that they've got from the German railways, they had to go to one place to get that licence. And it's a publicly owned railway where the trains and the tracks and the stations and the overhead catenary and all the equipment and all the bollocks that goes with it is all owned by one public entity who will charge them a nominal fee for a license that will be really fucking relaxed, and it'll be pretty easy to work with. To get a route in the UK, on the other hand, you need to network rail own all the stations, so if you want to use any branding or stuff like that, even though it's publicly owned, you still need permission. Then you got to get the train operator to agree to let you use their liveries. The train itself may be leased from a third party, or may just be, you know, built by Hitachi and just assembled over here, so there's a license there. It is an absolute mess. And then you've got the problem with, you know, Virgin Stagecoach aren't going to want to see their stuff being used on a software pack emblazoned with a rival's liveries and vice versa. We know they won't, because it's been a fucking mess on PC. Flight Simulator add-ons are kind of the same for similar reasons. Such a nightmare to deal with, man. So much as it would be amazing to see more modern content, I think it's just easier for them to do Germany just now, while they're getting content out there and building up the base to build on. I think if we see UK stuff, it's going to be if and when third-party developers get involved. I mean, I've spoken about that before. The conclusion being it's not impossible, but aye, we'll see. So aye, it would be great, but I think there's a reason that, you know, Northern Transpennine, Doddle, because they would have had to still get the rights for the Department of Transport to use British Rail, but that would have been fairly easy to do. Crown Copyright's fairly lenient about that kind of thing. West Somerset Railway, I've got a funny feeling that they're probably pals with the people that run it, to be honest with you. I think that's probably an arrangement that's working nicely for everybody involved. So yeah, they did tease Virgin Trains content recently. They were talking about on one of their blogs that they'd been to the depot and all that, and everybody was thinking, oh, what could we be getting? And then unfortunately last week Virgin got themselves into a lot of trouble with the Department for Transport, with stuff that we won't go into here, but they've been banned from bidding from any future franchises, and things like that tend to have a knock-on to any planned sort of puffy PR things like this, which is what they see it as. They've got on the table, so that could be a case of very poor timing, unfortunately. Should probably say all that's allegedly, because I don't want to get fucking sued by anybody, even though they've already been in trouble and shit, but not that anybody cares what I say, but hell. Don't know why I've nearly stopped the train either. I just kind of started ranting about Virgin Trains there and stopped paying attention. Okay, stop. Drive. Right, pick it up just a wee little bitty. It takes about a week to do any more than that in this thing, admittedly. So there we go, up to 40. And again, the row of white lights there, I forget what that's called, there is a name for it. Just advising you that you're going across the points. Right, for some reason, back onto the fast line as well. I forgot they did this, so all that sitting about waiting to be put back over here. Right. Let's, I want that signal to turn green. Come on, turn green. There we go. Yeah! Take that, hippies. Oh, only kidding. There is something about that noise in that site, and if you've ever been stood anywhere near under, like on a bridge when one of those things has gone under, I know it's like just pure cancer, but fuck me, it smells amazing. No, 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 you don't want to accelerate time on a on one of these things. Bad things happen. Come a cropper on a flight simulator more than once because I knocked a time accelerator button and didn't notice. Right, so coming in for Reading now, fast line, so I go all the way up to 75. We're not going to get near it because we're about to get AWS'd for the speed reduction. That's really there for the benefit of the high-speed trains. We didn't really need to be told about that. And this is one of those weird scenarios where at the very end, the AI, it's almost like it kicks you out the seat a second early and takes over, because you just coast into the station and it'll switch the brakes on for you and stuff. Within the last sort of 100 yards or so. Ah, with you, right, yeah, got you now. Duh. That should have been really obvious, eh? Right, so I'm going to get out the power now, because we're getting close now, and we're going to get a reach signal or something up ahead. In fact, I can see it there. Let's just get on the brakes now. Ooh, got a reward. 100 miles, Jesus. I've done considerably more than 100 miles in this thing. I can promise you that. Just, not on this account, that's all. That was probably a bit more vigorous than I needed to be, but we can just kind of roll it in from here. Ah, now you're talking. Pub at every station, that sounds right. Thing is, there is a pub at every station, it's just nobody can afford to go in them because it's like £10 a pint. and that mystery stretch of line where it always goes pitch black in the cab for some reason. One day they might fix that. So we just sort of roll on in at about 30 miles an hour now. That's more or less everything done. We don't have quite the same sort of punishing speed restrictions that we do with a certain magnet-based system that we've been using a lot recently. With the initial brakes on now. Yes, some of the waiting times it suggests that you might like to hang around for are frankly a bit silly. There's one that on the main Spessart ban, and I think it's just there to flesh out the rush hour traffic. It makes one trip in the morning. There's the brakes and stuff coming on, and you'll see the lights, the instrument panel lights will go out by themselves as well. It's like I'm being kicked out by the AI straight away. It's like they know I'm just hopping off here. Oh, in fact, it switched all the lights out and stuff for me last time. Oh, it's telling me the service, right, it didn't do that last time. When I drove it before, it told me to just get out. Oh, there we are. I must have just been a bit early. It's going to drive off with the door open. Oh well. It's longer as well, I'm sure. I'm sure they weren't as long as that when the game first came out. They've definitely been added to, I would swear. Right, so what will we do now? He said pretending he didn't already know. Right, let's have a look, see. So we'll take the fast pointy one, and spring day. Let me just see. We might make it summer, so we've got light, because I think this is a bit of a later on one. Is it that one? I think it might be. Right, so this is two services leave Reading at the same time, and this, if I've picked the right one, is the second one to go, which means that there's a bit of signalling and stuff on the way out. And if you are running really close to the edge, you can catch up with the train in front and catch some yellows as well on the way into London. So red signal at the end of the platform. So first thing I'm going to do is plonk the DRA on. Unisolate the DSD and the AWS. Roll the click spots are off a wee on this. Something that they've gotten better at in the subsequent updates. So headlights on, put the train light thingies on. What else do I want? Gauge dimmer. And now we wait. Doesn't take very long at all. So there we've got a yellow, so we can get underway. Just switch the DRE off, release the brakes, check reversers forward, yep, and put the power in. So bearing in mind it's a yellow, a single yellow we're going past. Well, it's a double yellow now, so the next one potentially is going to be yellow as well. And can see we've got, you can make out it's a double yellow from quite a distance actually. They're just ready for AWS. There we go. And we're already on to the high-speed line. So the main thing though that we need to be paying attention for is the signals just now. I think we get a wee burst of double yellows to begin with, and then gradually the train ahead will pull away. I don't think it stops anywhere. There is one of these where you get held up behind a train that's stops at Slough or something like that. So there's that signal in the distance gone green already, so the train ahead is, because obviously it left a minute ahead, so it's going a bit faster and we'll be accelerating away, so the distance will open up initially and then it'll close up again later on. So I'm seeing signals ahead, yellow when they come into view, flicking to green, so there's not really any pressing urge to be accelerating any quicker than I am, because I don't want to find myself then having to back off for yellows that I didn't need to be running through. Whereas in the old days, most of the time you could leave red and put the foot down, and everybody was going at full chat anyway. So yeah, the traffic definitely all works a little bit better than it did months and months ago. It's noticeable to somebody who hasn't played it for a while that traffic-wise, the amount of stuff that you see on the line and stuff, it kind of holds up a bit better compared to the really new ones than I remembered it holding up. So there has definitely been improvements made there. And again, a yellow flicking over to green, way up the distance. We're up to 90 now, so you don't even need to put maximum power in until you're well and truly flying along already anyway. I think you would rarely apply it before you were doing about 60 miles an hour anyhow. And that signal was, I'm not sure if it was a trick of the light or whether it just flicked to green as it came on, but there's now enough separation that we're not really being, the guy in front's not interfering with us, so to speak. Hey Nick-a-Sans, welcome. Yeah, I like driving this this route with as little as possible. The gauges are readable, so I don't need all that stuff in the bottom corner. It's great. I would be quite happy to drive more routes like this if I could read all the instruments properly. I tend to drive like this on Transpennine as well, although I will occasionally just call the, because I've got the keyboard shortcut obviously, cheaty a wee bit, but I occasionally have to call it back just to remind myself what the speed limit I'm currently running under is, because it changes so often. But no, I quite like driving without the HUD, although I don't trust the signals on Transpennine. I've had a couple of times where I've come flying around the corner off a green into blind reds that you just never had a chance of stopping for. So I tend to have the signal aspect thing switched on Transpennine unusually. Although I'm willing to concede it may be a case that I don't really understand the semaphores properly. That is always a possibility. But I'm fairly certain that it's there's a couple of sections of the electric signalling where there's like a 3-mile gap almost between two signals. One of them is green, and then the next one 3 miles away is about 400 yards beyond the blind corner on an 60 mile an hour stretch of line. So if you come around that doing line speed and it's red and there's been nothing since the green to warn you, either that or it's a missing speed limit restriction. It's one of the two, but either way, unfortunately, do use that. Yeah, zoom would be useful. Zoom's one of these things. I mean, for PlayStation, the answer is kind of staring them in the face. You know, touchpad that nobody really uses very effectively. Him. I realise they don't want to alienate Xbox users, but they're already alienating us both by letting PC players do it, if you want to argue that line, which I think is bollocks. I think you should basically strive to give each platform the best experience you can, and if each experience has to be slightly different, well, you know, that's fair enough. Or am I being really stupid suggesting that? Or maybe it's just, I grew up when, you know, there were 10 different types of home computer and no two versions of the game were different, so maybe I've got a different sort of outlook on it. But yeah, zoom's definitely something I think they could do quite easily if they chose to, certainly on one of the consoles. And that, by the way, is not me trying to piss on the parade of the Xbox guys. I don't know the console well enough. I dare say it's got functions and features that Dovetail could utilise that would potentially make a different part of the game better for you guys on Xbox. I mean, I would guess with the slightly closer similarities, it would be easier to get the Xbox version doing some of the tricks that the PC one does with textures and shit. No? Maybe? I don't know. I'm just making it up now, to be honest with you, but I do stand by my original point. Right, so catching ourselves a wee signal there, so we'll just whappy the brakes on, get ourselves down to 60 till we see what it is. So full service braking's fine. It's not like emergency braking. You can go straight back to running brake from it. It is exactly what it says on the tin. It's the full service brake of the train, i.e. the full brake when it's in service. So whatever we were slowing down for has been cleared. Probably find we'll get in just nice time as well. Usually do with these runs. What I'm probably going to do is at the end of this is I'll stop and have a wee refreshment break, and then I think I'm going to maybe have a crack at an express run across the Transpennines or something, because I've not really done any content for that. I think I did one stream and I had a stinking cold and no voice at the time. So I think I just sort of sat there in silence for most of it. So that's my plan after this, all things being equal. So another signal ahead, so we're still running fairly close proximity to the service ahead. Don't know how busy the lines would be at 7:45 on a summer's evening around London. Still quite busy, maybe. I don't suppose it's ever really properly dead quiet around there anymore, is it? And single yellow, so we do have to prepare for a very real possibility of a red, so we'll bring it down to 40. Don't have to be quite as ahead of it as the freight train, the 66. You don't even have to be as ahead of it as you used to be when the game first came out. Again, this is a train that's definitely I do remember the patch that they said they'd redone the model for this train, so I was aware it had been done. I've just not driven it very much. Definitely handles a lot better than it used to. I can see red away up in the distance. I'm fairly certain that's for me. Yeah, my class 33 tutorial did the same thing. I'm not gonna lie, that's the one thing, shit, I'm not gonna get stopped in time. That's the one thing I've bought for this game. Well, maybe the whole of West Somerset's the whole thing that's given me a bit of buyer's remorse after buying it. I'm not really want to tear it down too badly, because I understand why people do really enjoy that kind of old heritage stuff and what have you. It's just not really my cup of tea. And I'm not going to get much mileage out of it. I play it once in a blue moon just because I feel really guilty about spending the money on the damn thing, to be honest with you. And I do like the old stuff. They're cool, but 20 mile an hour, 25 mile an hour, really? And if you go much faster than that, then all that does is makes you realise how bloody short it is. And then you go 25 pound, really? Back to 25 mile an hour, I think. So I think I'm going to have to stop. Again, the ideal way to do this with a red, the perfect world approach to a red is that you coast along like this for a bit and then get moving again without ever stopping. Doesn't always work that way, unfortunately. So we're going to have to... We're going to have to stop there. And then I'm just going to pop the DRA on. Not sure if you only really need to use the DRA in a station. I can never remember. There is various rules about when that has to be on and off. I can't remember if it's for every single red or if it's for things like station stops and what have you. Don't forget as well, sometimes you'll look at somebody else's like lightning that and you'll be, oh, that looks absolutely awesome, but then if you're watching like a clip on your really high res brand new mobile and you're playing it on like a 1080 point flat screen telly that's probably not had the brightness settings adjusted properly for it ever, like what I'm doing, there's definitely a difference. So just because somebody else's looks better when you're watching a clip on Facebook doesn't necessarily mean there's anything wrong with your game. It might just be something as simple as that. Things like screenshots as well. I know as well that some people post screenshots. I'm in a couple of Facebook groups under my real name, obviously, not under this one. And there's more than one or two people who post console screenshots, and the buggers are photoshopping them and that before they put them up. And you get people going, how come, what's wrong with my console? Or is it worth me upgrading to like a 1S or getting a PS4 Pro? Like, no, it really isn't. So there's a million and one reasons why it can look slightly different on two-player systems. Right, so I'm just sort of paying a wee bit of attention here to the signals up ahead, because I don't want to go full throat down here if I'm going to be running straight into more yellows or reds. You can see red off in the distance. It was a single yellow I passed. See, I'm doing it again. I'm talking and I'm not really paying attention to what I'm doing. And then all of a sudden I've got to work out why the hell I'm only doing 40 miles an hour on the fast down line. Right, let's see what this does. Right, so AWS is saying be careful. Okay, thank God for AWS. This is a really bad habit of mine with the British trains as well, is because they don't force me to pay attention, I don't. And then things go wrong. And this happens to me so often. As well as part of the reason I don't stream them a lot as well. Right, okay, we're green, we're good. We're going to be late, but we're good. At least I don't have to worry about monitoring states and waiting for timers to go off and stuff like that. We can just give me power. Oh, it's not been optimised at all for the improved consoles, so don't worry about that in the slightest, man. The console versions are basically just a literal port of the PC with very little done other than the bare minimum needed for a few proprietary bits and bobs in the system. No special tuning or anything like that done for them so far. Right, it should in theory just be a... I'm hearing pings now all the time, so it should in theory just be a fairly straight run to London, and it might be safe for me to do this briefly. I just don't want to trip... timing, just as we get ongoing traffic. My only worry is... Oh, there's more. Forgot what I was saying now. Oh well, never mind. Can't he be important? Stroof, it is busy. Right. All things being equal, I think it might be a fairly straight in run now to London after all that hoo-ha about. I've got a feeling that the train ahead, the service ahead, maybe did stop at Slough or something like that. So actually, this is one of the most sort of relaxing parts of the whole train simulator experience, I think, is these really high-speed trains. Just, you get a nice fast stretch of line, you know you've got a nice run of greens in front of you. And it's just bobbing and swaying along, and just there's those moments where it all just comes together and you're just like, this is fucking amazing. Love this game. And then it slows down to like 3 frames a second as a station comes into view and you go, oh yeah. I slag it off, but I love it to bits. No. Bloody tangled up in cables here. I've got too much stuff around my desk. Keyboard connections and stuff. This is going to end badly. If there's an almighty crash and a bang or anything, then I've pulled half my desk off with me. Yeah, exactly, man. That's the great thing about this game. I mean, like, I was sort of mumping about West Somerset a minute ago, but I totally get why people love it. Um, there is, we're getting to the point now where there is, all that we're missing, I think, is one or two Steam, obviously. But there's really not much missing, and there genuinely will be just about something for everyone. A little bit more variety in the UK routes, perhaps, possibly. There's all this wasted space off to the side of the lines that you could be doing stuff with a 66 in. There's a bloody refueling depot that they use in one of the scenarios that we never go near again. You know, the along from the place, the depot where they empty the hoppers that you never ever go near again, apart from that one scenario. So yeah, quite a lot of wasted potential. In fact, now I think about it, I'm just going to start complaining again, so I'm going to stop now. Right, I think I've kind of lost track of where I am as well now. Right, I know broadly where I am. Every day and time wise, bags of time. Probably shouldn't do that right underneath a building, eh? That'd probably get you into a bit of trouble from the noise police or something. Hey, race you to London. Watch this, Betty, I'm getting stopped so that bugger can overtake me. I have been that commuter train getting to go past the express before. I know it does it the other way round. Service creator would be awesome, man, but refer back to my earlier comments about the absolute nightmare of license holders that having a private railway network brings you. Would be amazing, but it's the sort of thing that really, if it's going to happen, that's the sort of shit that's only going to happen on the PC, where basically the users do it themselves and the developers never officially get involved with it and can just like keep it at arm's length, sort of thing. Bastard. So that's actually a double yellow ahead. Alright, so it's gone green. So it's not that guy I was getting held for. Right, we can race him. It was something else that I was being held up for. Charge! I don't think we're going to win. Got the 50-mile-an-hour limit coming up. Oh, this could be... We'll go all Danny Ricciardo on the brakes maybe, but... I don't drive this train very often. I don't know how late I can leave it, and I can't even see that guy in front of it. getting AWS'd for the speed limit. Need to, I don't really need to start leaping on the brakes there, but it's an idea to just be ready for it because it sort of sneaks up on you. Under the signalling conditions as well, it's probably a bit stupid to be going too fast. So in fact, I need to be prepared for a single yellow round here anyway, so... Although it looks like we're getting a green, maybe? Aye, we're actually getting a green in the end, so... There are quite a few of these services where you time the arrival is timed rather, so that if you're running on schedule, you do come in side by side with someone else. Another update for rapid transit. Oh. That's either, if you've not updated your game for a while, that's either the 182 and all that going in, or it's a new update and I want to know what's in it. I wonder what they could be doing if it's new. Ah, do you know what? It's maybe just, is it a little tiny one? They're maybe just fixing those rogue PZB magnets outside Greppen and the other one. Oh, I hope that's what it is. I forgot that needed fixed. Oh, aye, got a speed limit coming up here, eh? 4.6 gig. Is it the first time you've updated your system for a while? Updated your game for a while, mate? That might be the support for the DB182 going in. Because that was about that size. Oh, there's that other train up ahead that I was chasing earlier that got past me. Oh, could have left it a little later there, but... Oh, I've got further to go up the platform though. Dick. Could have totally had him on another day. Right, this one makes you open the doors, doesn't it? So what time were we looking for? We were looking for 1944. There you go, bang on time. That's with the signals and everything. So it's it's not that difficult to make time, but it's much better than when the game launched. When if that had been the time we were meant to be here, we'd have got here at about 3:15 in the afternoon because it was just that ridiculously fast. It maybe wasn't as bad as that, but you know, you were coming in like so early that it was registering as a fail because you were too early for it to count. It's like ridiculous. Right, patch notes here so far. If to be honest as well, the patches seem to go at different times for different platforms. So I'm sort of sitting confidently saying I know what that'll be, and I'm not even on the same system as you. Should probably trust what the patch notes say and whatever, yeah, whatever Dovetail are putting on their site. They're reliable. I'm not really. The gear changes and the revs. Oh, that means I gotta take that Oral 101. Right. What I'm going to do first is, before I go near Transpennine, is I'm going to go for a wee quick break, 5 minutes or so, get a drink and that. I was planning. What I'll do, we'll have a look. I'll maybe do one of the wee short runs in the 101. Be honest with you, I've not driven it much myself recently. Not driven it much at all. I'll not do one of the full length ones because my memory of them is they take about 2 hours to do. They're ridiculously long, and then I'll do that before going for a run across one of the express runs I was going to plan doing. But I'll have a look. There are some shorter ones that can be done at the Leeds end of the line, I think, that can have a look at. But I'll need to find my manual as well first because I'll need to remind myself where all the buttons are on that one. So I'm gonna go back to the menu just now. If I just lock the door, might as well get the credit for this on this profile as well because it all counts towards the 4 million mile challenge, doesn't it? That one clocked in. So I'm going to go back to the main menu just now, and I'll be back in about 5 or 10 minutes or so. Okay, and I'm back. Sorry for the wait there. That a little bit longer than I intended. Yeah. What have we done there? Right. Okay, where are we? So, Transpennine. I just think there's anything I need to remember particularly about this before I start. Tell you what I will do, so that I'm not doing it once we're running. Oh, clunky McClunky menu. We'll just, I don't want that Imperial, but I want that one. Right, that's quite, it looks kind of cool when you see them all strung out like that. It does look like quite a lot. I like that. Right, so I want to go back to the doodah page. Oh, no. Right, okay, let's have a wee look at the 101. Clear day, and I just want to do, how far is Marsden? Marsden very far away? I'll maybe go a bit farther than that. Maybe not that far, somewhere in between possibly. That's even further, isn't it? So how long's Huddersfield to Leeds? So Leeds to Huddersfield, oh, so that could be like about, oh, that could be quite a while actually still. Right, we'll do Marsden first. I don't really... See, this again is a case of I've not really played it enough to be totally familiar with the line. Right, there we go. No, that's not the one I wanted. That's insane. What was the one I wanted? There was a shorter one. Huddersfield to Marsden. Right, yeah. That makes sense. Oh, I got that in the 80s as well, man. I got to go in the cab of a 125 because my granddad knew the driver, it turned out. Or the driver had known my great granddad because my great granddad had been his first driver when he'd first joined the railway as a fireman way back in the 50s or something like that. Was the story. The short version was I got to go and sit in the cab of a 125 when I was very small and it was fucking awesome. Right, we'll do the first part of this, see how long it takes, what sort of progress we make and what have you. Now, if I remember rightly, this doesn't give you tons of time to get things done at the start either, does it? Always. Right, so doors unlocked. What do I need to do in here? I remember there's a button over here somewhere I want. That one. That one. Do I need any of this shit here? Probably not. Where are we going? Huddersfield. What else do I need to do in here? Oh yeah, there's a key. That's probably quite important. Right, I still have a feeling like I've forgotten to do lots of things. I'm not going to bother turning the AWS on. It's absolutely, utterly pointless on this route because it's not actually active anywhere on the line. So, we'll just leave that. Okay. Oh yeah, vacuum brakes. Right, gearbox. Oh yes, gearboxes, right. So basically when the revs get up into the yellow quadrant here, kill your revs, shift gear, and then put the revs back in. Don't speed, like I'm doing. The only thing you need to remember when you're doing it is that if you re-engage the throttle before they've dropped, actually this gauge here is probably the better one to use. If they've dropped below the sort of the second white line, or if they've not dropped, sorry, below that white line, and you bring the throttle in, you'll basically just like crunch the gearbox a bit, and nothing will happen. Oh shit. Okay, right, everybody just chat amongst yourselves while I have a quick crash course on vacuum brakes again. Alright, okay, yeah, it doesn't take very much at all for these to be effective, I remember them now. So, revs up, revs off, change gear, and revs back in. And again, going a little bit too quickly because I'm a bit naughty that way. So does that mean that if we all go to the Midland Railway Centre, you can get us cab rides then, man? Because that would be awesome. Right. Okay. So we can go faster here. Right. Okay. Oh yeah. Gears. Right. There we go. So yeah, when the revs are dropping off, you can put them back up sort of any time after. I can't see what that number is, but there's a number on the sort of second white line up, and that's basically your biting point's not the right word for it, but that's your sort of your point where you can plug the power back in again. So just out, gear, oh, don't stick it in neutral though. Do that all the time, aiming for fourth and end up flinging it into neutral. Stopping could be a bit interesting. I'm either going to go flying through at like 40 mile an hour, or I'm going to stop about half a mile short of the bloody thing. One of the two. Yeah, I don't bother like coming back down through the gears as I'm slowing down for a station. I just wait till I'm stopped and then do it. Actually, more often I just completely forget and then wonder why the bloody thing won't move when I go to leave again. But that's another issue altogether, really. See, I need to have the balls to just try doing stuff like that, man. Just going up to these people and saying, I think that's awesome, can I come? Right, so I'm just gonna let it drift back down a little bit because we're heading up to a speed limit anyway, and there's a station coming, and I haven't used vacuum brakes in a long time, so how bad could it be? Still going uphill in fact, so there's definitely something about this route though. It does feel like it's just had so much extra attention to detail given to the even the stuff that followed it hasn't in some areas. Like, it's difficult to really sort of describe it. It's tiny little touches. It's things like the manky oil smeared lines and things like that, and just the sort of that very 80s industrial feel sometimes when you're going through the backs of these. I don't know what they are. They look like old industrial premises, factories and things that you're going around the back of at a couple of points. There's lots of just little things. Maybe it's just because it's all more familiar to me. I mean, going along the German routes, it's the little things are just different. Could have been worse, could have been better. Yeah, I'll take that. I know that's not how you're actually supposed to do it, but never mind. That was, I have to be honest, more of a sudden realisation that, oh shit, I don't have AFB and electric brakes to help me, do I? Yeah, usually I try to, and I can do it with a bit of practice. Usually I sort of let them into a certain point so that I'm slowing down more steadily than that and try and make a more controlled approach. I'm not normally quite so, or I try not to be quite so cat-candid as that every time. It's quite short loading times here as well, isn't it? So there's not really time to... Let's just get the doors locked up. Get ready to go. That was me nearly forgetting my gears as well there. Right, not my fault, there's nothing to see, sorry. Where's the cab switch again? Is it up there? I think they probably wouldn't actually turn these on in real life, but we're gonna... Just because it's marginally better than sitting staring at a black screen. I don't actually mind the tunnels. I think when you're playing it like on a fairly big screen and you can see enough, it's probably really shit on the stream, but you can just pick out enough detail like in the marker lights and stuff, for it to actually be quite atmospheric. You'll just see the little yellow distance marker flash past occasionally out the corner of your vision or what have you, or you'll see like a signal light, a distant signal light on the ground miles ahead of you, and that was the landmarks that the drivers had to use in the tunnels. They had to know where they were all the time. They were expected to. And it would have just been these little flashes of colour going past you in the tunnel that were often your way of telling exactly where you are. Well, that is exactly what the point of the waypoint markers are anyway, innit? Obviously, I don't need to tell you guys that, but it didn't always work for the stream, I don't think. Yeah, it works. It works fine for just playing it on my own. But the tunnels are so long, you can be in here for 2 or 3 minutes, and that's quite a long time to... I've just made you look at a menu for 10 minutes. Asking you to look at a point of light on the middle of the screen for another 10's a bit shit. Oh, speedy, speedy. Nearly. I think I might just cheat and use the keyboard for the lights on here. I've try as much as possible to stick to using the click spots when I can, but for practical purposes, perhaps not for this. Right, let's see if we can be a bit more scientific about this. Right, that was way too late opening that up. Fuck sticks. Oh, well, see if it lets me open the doors. I'm doing it. Ah, oh, bollocks. Right. Oh. Oh, now we're rolling. Right. I'm trying to stick my head out the window and it's just not happening for me. I'm still early though. Well, I'm on time now at least. Oh, that can't be right. Right, there we go. I've got far too used to electric brakes and AFB and all these other modern contrivances, it has to be said. Right, lock the doors already. Stop fanning about with the brake levers. Right, let's do this. Dewsbury. I don't know how long it actually takes to get to Huddersfield. That's what, about halfway up the line maybe? It could still be a fair trek actually. I love the sound effects on this train. They're really, 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 really good. 'Cause you can hear all the... It's not being drowned out by a great big sawed-off 6,000 horsepower engine right behind you, which is a great thing and a wondrous thing to listen to, but it's not drowning out all the other mechanical sounds that they've obviously spent a lot of time on. I know that some people really slag some of the sound effects. The 182 got a pounding from some people because it wasn't, you know, one of the notes is like 1/1000th of an octave out of pitch or something like that. The purists all get really upset. But I have to say, really, really impressed with the quality of the sound on this train especially. The only bugger of it is that on the really long runs, for some reason, about 2/3 of the way down the line, you no longer get any sound from your air brakes, your vacuum brakes, which is really irritating because it's usually just about the time I've learned to do it perfectly by listening to it that the sound quits. Right, possibly a bit too cautious this time. Yeah, usually saving and reloading fixes it, but that's something I am incredibly reluctant to do on stream. I dislike going into the menus, frankly, but I don't have an option with that. I do prefer to just hop from service to service where I can. But I absolutely hate. I just find it so immersion breaking. It takes a lot longer as well, I think. Yeah, it is annoying that that happens. Oh, right. Uh, we pause there while it always sort of freezes when you go into the menu to get to the doors. That's annoying. Yeah, I mean, this is what I'm talking about, the attention to detail, man. I mean, look at that. Somebody spent a lot of time sitting weathering all this and, making it look like it has been neglected for 30 years. Anybody can make a really sort of sterile, unlived-in game, but you have to actually put quite a lot of work into this. I would have had to get out to get it, to be honest with you, is the answer. I don't honestly really bother about the collectibles. They're one of these things that if I see one nearby and I've got time to run out and grab it, then I sometimes will. But you can't do it with the flying camera. I'd have had to switch back to the actual player camera, then get out and go and do it. I forget the collectibles are there half the time as well. Right, mile to go, so this is going to be what, another downhill one, I think. Right, let's miles way too early maybe isn't it to start quite thinking about it. This is the stuff I was sort of thing I was talking about, like these old buildings that have been, yeah, they're all probably flats and things now, aren't they? But all these sort of abandoned or run down and probably not much life left in them type places that you're going past. I'm not even convinced I got all the way on there, to be honest. Let's have a check. Free camera. Oh, well, yeah, but I mean, this bit at the back I think is technically not actually used anymore, but never mind. Yeah, even just like all the crap line about it, just, yeah, the atmosphere on this line is, I think, probably the best of any. Or the ambience, maybe that's the word I'm looking for. Is that the word I'm looking for? I don't know. Oh, I should have done that ages ago. Forget how long it takes to release the brakes on this. Again, just got myself maybe a bit too used to using trains that, complicated as they seem, largely drive themselves. forgetting I need to change gear. I think that's what actually always ends up killing me on this thing, and I end up being late, is because I go for, you know, I suddenly realise, oh, how long have I been sitting at the very top of third gear for? How many miles has it been since I should have changed up? Right, so... Oh, I feel like I'm cheating having this thing up here. I don't like it. But I don't trust the signalling at the... I can't remember the junction it's at. Near Stalybridge. Is it Stalybridge or Stalybridge you pronounce it? I don't know. I've been caught there with a red that there's just no way I can see you can possibly respond in time to. And I've been caught up at the Leeds end by the signal I was mumping about earlier on. And as I say, I concede it may just be that I'm shite at reading semaphores. That is a distinct possibility. But I'm pretty certain that on at least one occasion there hadn't been a semaphore for about the last 5 miles. Oh wow, it's amazing what a difference such a slight change in the incline, the angle can do. Oh, this is a diddy wee platform as well, isn't it? This is the one where you get it right or you're... Okay, so 2 minutes late now. Alright, I've got another half-drunk cup of cold coffee next to me right now, man. I don't know why I even bother anymore. That said, cold coffee for British Rail, that's probably actually fairly appropriate. All you really need now is a soggy ham sandwich with the corners curled up a little bit. I probably lose a ton of time as well sitting waiting on brakes releasing that I could have had more or less all the way off before that, but yeah. Oh, hello. Do like watching those go past. I really want to drive one. Right, Dayton, how far up this line are we? I'm just going to, I should probably pause it before I do this. Right, where's Huddersfield? It's still quite far. It's that big mess of sidings in it beyond Dayton. You know, there's far too much stuff in here actually for you to sit and end up reading when you should be like paying attention to the track ahead and remembering to change gear. God damn it, I will remember this gearbox. Although, of course, I was actually just totally deliberately making sure that I wasn't breaking any speed limits there. Ah, I remembered that bit. The wee sudden change of gradient at the bottom of that hill there, because if you cock it up, you can lose tons of time out there. Remember that. Sure, it's a junction like that where I got caught with a signal. It's like you're coming off of one line onto another and they've forgotten to like put something in between them to warn you. I'm sure I read something on a forum post somewhere as well about there's a missing semaphore near a signal box outside Leeds or something like that. Right. So quite a steep uphill this, so I'll probably not need to be quite as enthusiastic. Christ, they came on pretty sharpish. Right, way too early on my brake in there. You sound like you know what you're doing with this train now, mate. you're going to be about half an hour quicker up this line than me, easily. Stop! Right. That could be it there, couldn't it? I think it is. Yeah, that has to be it. Right, that's fair enough. That is not too bad. Ah, now, let's let some of that pressure out the brakes. Oh, let's just lock the doors. Ah, let's just go. That log line like inches away from the track and just nobody's giving a fuck. Right, that's fine. Next one is Huddersfield. Not been there for years. I say been there, I mean like I've seen the inside of the railway station a couple of times and that's about it. Right. I'm not actually considering how shite I thought I was going to be. I'm actually doing no too badly for time. Probably be about 3 or 4 minutes late by the time I actually get through like the really slow bit at the bottom of the hill. But all things considered, that could have been really, really crap. I wish it gave you more time at the start though, because you don't have time to go down and set like the lights at the back, and the blind is independent of the front cab. It should all either be set to toggle with what you do at the front cab, or they should give you time to go down and do it. Because obviously that's the most important thing that's wrong with the game, is that I can't have the destination I want on the end of the train that hardly anybody ever sees. Knows why I did that either. It's a really, really strange feeling being on a stretch of railway line that I don't recognise, and I don't know exactly where I am. This is unusual. The fuck? Why did I think I was going to be rolling downhill at this point? I knew there was a really slow bit coming up. Alright, and then this is the one with the... Oh fuck, dead end, no pressure, eh? Close enough. Right, so 3 minutes late. That's... Do you know what? By the standards of British Rail in 1983, that's alright, I think. Right, lock the doors, although that is the end of the service. How did I do? That's not too bad. That's not too bad at all. No. No. I think it's time to play with something a little bit bigger and noisier and dirtier and smellier and awesomer. I've not done an end change, but I can believe that, because that seems to be the cause of so many problems on so many trains. There are a couple of systems on the German locomotives that you can reverse. There's a system called CIFA absolutely hates it when you switch ends, and it stops working properly. So I can easily believe that changing ends in any train causes problems. If you've ever done it in the 125 as well, if you then get out of it, it jumps off the rails and sort of wobbles around a lot. But it will start driving again. The AI will take over and drive it away, but it does this really weird shuffling around on the rails thing. It's nuts. Which is a shame, because when they get end switching right, it's absolutely brilliant. Love doing it. Right. I think. See that one. That one's just too much. The uphill section. There's no much going on with the 47. I feel. I tell you what. I need to go for a pee actually. Anyway, so I'll have a think while I'm doing that. Which one of these we're taking? Back in a second. Okay, back again, and I think, oh, I can't make my mind up. See, the 45 is more fun to drive because it doesn't just sort of wheeze its way up that hill, but the 47 is actually better for sightseeing with because it does wheeze its way up the hill and you can just kind of not pay attention to what it's doing. Uh, Oh, I don't know. See, this always happens when I come on this line as well. Is I can never decide which of the two I want to drive because I kind of love them both. Yeah, 45. Why not? And I think we'll do. This route actually looks really nice, just on a nice sort of clear day. We'll just put a slightest suggestion of cloud in the sky and just a little bit of breeze. I only noticed yesterday that the trees were swaying the breeze. Or they do on Leipzig anyway. I've not really paid much attention to any others. Right, we'll do Manchester to Leeds Express service. Not done one of these for yonks. See if I can mind where all the buttons are. Can I actually remember the controls, I think, where all the bits and bobs are for a cab setup? We'll find out in a second how much I can remember. Right, it'll be the doors will be on the right, I guess. I am going to want to not going to bother with the AWS or any of that shit. You can turn it on, but there is absolutely no point at all because it's not active on the route. Oh, yeah. I do love these. Absolutely love these. Definitely, I should give this route more love. I really know I should, but if only they would give us a tiny little bit more to do on it. Just give us a goods train. Give us, you know. There's quite a lot of track that we don't really go on and don't really use. Oh, I've done the wrong thing there. Fuckity buys. Yeah. Oh yeah. That was just beautiful. Right, so what are we on just now? So we're on a 15 going into a 40. Right, get rid of that. Then you need that. Why's my score come back? There we go. Right. Am I dragging something? It feels like I'm dragging a brake or something. Or is it just... or am I just getting the wheels all squeaking and stuff because I'm going slow? I don't know. This doesn't feel right. Where is the handbrake again? I can't remember where the handbrake is. Actually, no, it feels... Oh, do you know what it is? It's getting, I'm going uphill coming out of Manchester, I'm into a... Disregard everything I said, is because I'm going up a bloody hill. What an absolute melt I am. Oh dear, oh dear. Chris Hart says hi. Hello Chris, welcome. Thanks for joining. Thank you. It's always nice to get some feedback. Sorry I don't always see messages straight away, mate. I don't have the thing on my PlayStation screen. But welcome anyway. I wouldn't necessarily take the way I approach it as the right way to do it, but if you take anything away from it, then awesome. Oh man, I'm also maybe shouting quite a lot because I don't know how my sound balance is, but by God, this thing is noisy. Right, let's stop mucking about now. Yeah, that's fine. Nah, it definitely wasn't my handbrake still on. I wasn't dragging anything. I forget that Manchester's uphill anyway, and I think all that noise, it was just because it's so tight and twisty through there and going across all those points. It's just it's the friction noise. That's what I was hearing. That's partly a side effect of me spending more or less the last fortnight solid driving self-driving electric things. It's definitely louder, but it's that's not a bad thing. I love the noise of this. Oh. I can be a bit more free with the camera though, with all that gubbins up in my corner of my screen that I don't normally use. Oh, I didn't think to check what the actual current limit is before I did that. Right, that's fine. Another reason I quite like this as well though is because the gauges are big and clear enough to drive with the gauges rather than the HUD. Again, I just sometimes need to refer back to it because I forget what the speed limit is. There's another quite a good camera as well. Not that screen. How did I get the cameras again? God damn it, Scott! I'm forgetting all my controls all of a sudden. Left desk. This is quite a good camera as well, actually. This is very, very light. This reminds me a lot of Old Train Simulator. I love this view. This is like when they used to take a photograph of the cab and then just whack that over the top of the window, and that was your cutting edge simulator. Oh my god, they were so bad. And I've got a hard drive full of that shit somewhere. I can't be the only one here who remembers those old simulators where it was literally just a photograph of something. I had a million flight simulator add-ons that were like that as well. Somebody'd got a cockpit visit, taken a couple of snaps, and you could see like the flash reflections and stuff, or oh, it was awful sometimes. Or you could see like the safety tags hanging off with the handles and the levers and what have you, and you're supposed to believe this was your cutting edge simulator. But for something about this view, just because it's so flat on, just reminds me of that a lot. Could be going a wee bit quicker, I guess. In its own way, and in a very different way though, it's I'm finding that compared to the German trains that I've been driving, this is actually, despite the fact it's, somebody said earlier they're simpler, some described them as not simpler, I think the word basic was maybe used. It's no less difficult to drive, it's more hands-on. That's for sure. You know, this point in most of my modern electric ones, I would just move a lever to the speed I want to do, and electronics will do the rest for me. But this is all very much more hands-on. I don't have to be quite as vigilant for you know, potential booby traps going off. But it doesn't mean that it's any less busy, especially when the track's going up and down and what have you. The 47 really does struggle. As far as I can work out from old sort of railway records and stuff that I've seen, the 45 is accurate to the route. The 45 really was the workhorse of this particular stretch of line. I don't know whether the 47's just been put in there to put more content in or not, but I get the impression it maybe wasn't quite as common a sight as the 45 would have been. I've got a feeling I should have been going a bit slower through there, but never mind. Yeah, should have been down to about 50 going through there. Not to worry. Oh, that was messy. I think I definitely need to practice my gentle touch on these brakes. Thing is, if they'd give us even just one locomotive and a dozen or so freight activities to do up and down here, I'd probably know this line like the back of my hand by now, if I'm being honest with you. I would love that. I tell you something else you can appreciate when you play this thing as well, NTP being a prime example. Massive respect to the guys who drove these, because you'll notice compared to a nice modern line, fuck all track signage. A lot of these speed limits, the speed limit coincides, this speed limit up ahead for instance, coincides with the entrance to a tunnel. Now, through my work, I've seen a lot of old historical railway records and stuff, and often in technical sort of documents and, you know, official kind of things, the speed limits are described in terms of what milepost they're in place from, or sometimes in terms of being between physical objects on a line. Like, they'll start at the so-and-so tunnel at 60 miles per hour from one end to the... So these guys had to know all that. They didn't necessarily have a nice flowing stream of signs telling them what was coming up, what they were meant to be doing there and then, and, you know, what to expect 3 miles down the line and all that sort of stuff. It's crazy when you think about it, and the length of track, or the sort of the area that each of these guys had to know. It wasn't just a single 40-mile stretch between two cities. It was, you know, it was every possible stretch of line off of this. It was an area rather than a stretch of line often that they knew, because they had to know their own stretch of main line plus all the branch lines and side lines that fed on and off of it. And it's insane to think about having to know all that from memory. Right, I have no idea why I wasn't at full chat ages ago. That was really stupid of me. I think I might have been getting a bit too keen on the sound of my own voice there. Oh well. See if we maybe just get away with it. You can actually, I have noticed in the past, the timetable I think seems to be set so that a 47 driven perfectly can just about keep up with it. So the 45 you can be a bit messy with. Still 60. And I'm just going to add my tuppence to your wee discussion, your wee debate there about the joys of train sim. I would also add, it's not only are all the trains a joy to drive, and the game, I think we generally agreed, we all slag it but we love it. One of the better communities I've found in recent years as well, I have to say. I'm just going to throw that in there. It's not a huge community, but there's a few Facebook groups and things out there that you can join. And I've not seen one yet where a 12-year-old has told me what he's going to do to my mother tonight or anything like that, so there's that too. A quick gradient check there. I do occasionally find the gradient thing useful as well, but again that's something a driver would know off the top of his head. At the time they would know exactly what the terrain conditions were for any given stretch, so I make no apologies for using that. I'm not going to pretend that I'm not missing AFB right now though. This is really hard to keep it at just the right speed for me. Oh man, I'm concentrating on that wee speed needle so hard, I'm going to end up like missing something really important, going through a red or something stupid like that. I hadn't realised how much I was letting AFB do the work for me. Oh, I'd love them to put the Class 37 on here. That really annoyed me as well. Here's another brilliant classic mainline express locomotive for you to trundle around at 20 mile an hour in. Oh. Yeah, that's basically what I did as well. They've all got more or less the same names anyway. Without going and digging it and grabbing another device from across the room, I don't have it off the top of my head. There's also quite a good console-specific one, which I think is just called Train Sim World Console or something like that. They don't ban people who play on PC, but it's a larger console crowd in there. So if you're stuck with something, there's almost certainly somebody that can answer your question. But I think actually it's largely the same people in all the groups anyway, because it's not that big a community, as I said. It's one of these ones where you'll see the same faces over and over again. Right, this is a signal I've been caught at before as well. It's possibly going in the other direction, or it's possibly the one just up round the corner, but this is all very, very familiar to me, and I am absolutely certain I have been caught up here with a green into a red across the junction. Might have been going back in the other direction actually. Actually lost more speed than I wanted to there. I feel like I'm having to really shout again as well, so I apologise if what you're hearing is completely out of balance now. Cheating and using my keyboard there just to put the lights on, just so we've got something to look at more than anything else. I'm afraid I'm not very scientific about this. I'm not using any dedicated streaming software or stuff like that. I just fire the PlayStation on and play my game, and if people are bored enough to watch along with me, cool. I didn't care about them, man. I should hear what she gets up to at night, man. Holy fuck. And no, I'm not holding the microphone up to the wall before anybody asks. Yeah, the ever-expanding tunnel. Well, I don't know if you've, on this particular route, yeah, this is the only problem tunnel. If you've ever driven Long Island Railroad, wow. There's like a whole stretch of the underground that's just got no tunnel around it at all. You're going underneath central Manhattan, and if it's raining, you like on the surface, you're suddenly getting wet because there's no tunnel around you. It's crazy. Does it on Northeast Corridor as well, actually. Still. Oh shit, 40 mile an hour coming up. That distance signal on the floor that I just went past is usually the reminder, and then way too hard on the brakes because I panicked. How are we doing for time? 15:26. Ooh, maybe do it. Maybe do it. Everything else that's wrong with this game gets blamed on the Unreal Engine, so probably. To be fair, most of the problems are to do with Unreal. I think it's probably fair to say the problems are not so much the Unreal Engine, and more that they just don't have enough experience with the Unreal Engine to make it do what they want. I have said that before, but I think they are showing signs with each release that they're getting better at it, so fingers crossed these issues will become less and less of a problem as time goes on. Right, let's do this. We're starting to get just a little bit more comfortable now with the handling of this. He said immediately going thundering through the speed limit. I think this is a 60, isn't it? Oh no, it's a 65, fine. Okay, Nico Soundman, thanks for joining anyway. Always good to have you here. Catch you next time, dude. I'll only be on for another wee while anyway. This is going to be the last for tonight, I think. Unless the 155 dropped while I was online. Imagine that. Oh, that'd be cool, wouldn't it? Can't imagine for a moment why it would possibly come out at this time of day. from a European developer, but that would still be awesome. The 182, that happened to the 182. I knew what day it was coming out, but not what time, and it just sort of appeared out of nowhere. But I've noticed they've got a habit with their add-ons for Train Sim 19. They'll announce coming soon, so-and-so will train for whatever route. And then they won't tell you what date it's releasing, and then the next you'll see is just out now on the Train Sim store. So I think that's maybe going to be the way they're going to start doing it from now on. Certainly with rolling stock, if not the routes. So yeah, I'm expecting to see the 155 anytime at all, anytime soon. I'd be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if it dropped tomorrow. It's a very mesmerising noise, this train, when you've got the power turned down and you're just coasting along. It's the sound of the rhythm of the axles hitting the joins. Oh, it's lovely. It's very distracting though. It's very, very easy to just zone out completely. Well, that is basically the train simulator experience, in it. It's like 90% just zoning out and 10% swearing and braking because you just realised you're going too fast. Just me? Possibly. Another pointless button that doesn't really do much in this cab. It's, as I said before, not on the route, so doesn't really achieve much. Yeah man, it's cathartic in a way that very, very few other games are. The flight simulators, like civilian ones, not like combat ones. I used to find civilian flight simulators very like that as well. Although I've not done any of that for quite a long time. Probably want to just scrub a little bit more speed off. Could have probably left it a lot later to do that, in fact, but not the end of the world. Mile to go. Not sure how I'm doing for time actually. I'll check the clock in a moment. Always getting the braking wrong down here as well. I'm always way too early or way too late with it. Still 500 yards to go to the 15. And I think we're going downhill, so... I find it really disorientating to do in the dark sometimes, actually. One of loads of reasons I'm not a train driver. Right. And then you've got like this impossibly narrow, you're supposed to slot it in as close to the signal at the end as you can. Oh, way further than that, come on. Jeez, oh. What time is it? Aye, so we're already a minute and a bit late. Then again, British Rail, 1983. I'm practically 10 minutes early, I suppose. Nah, that's no fair. They were never actually that bad. If you go back and look at the actual records that were kept, a bit of a common misconception that they were always late. Right. Elite Dangerous. Yes, I am an Elite Dangerous player. Sort of. I've not played it for ages and ages and ages though. For various reasons, but yes, I am kind of, and I do intend to be again at some point. It just sort of dropped off my radar for a while there. But yeah, it's a brilliant game, man. I absolutely love it. I think I did actually do something on here with a view to maybe making a few more of them at one point, but then a few plans had to change around that time, and I kind of stopped playing Elite at the same time, so... I hear there's a big new content drop due, is it this week or next week? I think there's a load of new stuff coming. Aye, I've seen a few things coming up on social media about that. I need to head on over to Obsidian Ant or somewhere like that and get myself all caught up, because it has been a long time that I've been away from the game. Ah, here we go. Nice! I've not got a clue what the speed limit is around here either. Right, 70, that's fine. Yeah, I had dipped in we're all Elite fans. Awesome. Tremendous. I had dipped my toe in after the mining update and all that, but I actually buggered off to Saga and beyond when that came out, did a lot of exploration and then came back to the bubble, and that was around the time that I kind of stopped. I played it like non-stop for about a week and a half, 2 weeks after 3.0 came out, and then not so much after that. And I only got as far as I did because of like my 55 light year crate. Was it maybe I was using? Oh, that's the wrong brake. Right. Yeah, I've been watching the DW2 updates. I saw that they'd put a station out there. Not a terrible idea. As long as it doesn't become a magnet for gankers is all. That would be like really shit, spending months getting all the way out there. And I'm not going to get into the whole is it a dick thing to do or not debate. I don't really care one way or the other, it doesn't really bother me, but I can see why new players might not appreciate their efforts all being oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck. Yeah, I can understand why like newer players might not appreciate having all their efforts totally undone like that. And I completely agree with the starter system thing. Incidentally, that's the one time I really don't like ganking. Is I think if it puts new players off of a game that relies on people staying and taking part and maybe feeling like even putting their hand in their pocket occasionally for the game to survive, then I think it's not a bad idea to put up a deterrent around people who would otherwise maybe chase them away for good. Once you're a bit more experienced and you know what you're doing, then yeah, aye, absolutely. If you go online, then you're fair game. But I do think the ring fence in some systems not a terrible plan at this stage of the game's life. Now, I think I might be doing totally the wrong speed again, yep. See what I mean about not having like the signposts and stuff trackside? It just, oh my goodness. It's hopeless. I was so terrible at this. To be honest, I'm already in a squadron which I'm fairly active in. well, active when I'm playing. There's only so much of it to go around, my man. But yeah, I don't have the copyright on the name, geez, oh. That means being responsible for things, good lord, Dave. Oh, speed limits again. Oh, what have I broke? I think we got away with that one. Because part of the problem as well is that I'm thundering along here at 70 miles an hour, thinking I'm doing 70 kilometres an hour. Because that's what I've been basically operating in for so long. I'm forgetting that I need a lot longer to slow down from 70 miles per hour than I do from 70 kilometres per hour. And I feel that frankly I was lucky not to come off the line there, because it is possible at that point. Oh jeez, oh. Wonder how much of that stuff's still there, like how much it still actually looks like this. Or how much it even looked like that in the first place, to be fair, I guess. I don't know how authentic it is. I was just a young lad in 1983, so I wasn't doing a lot of cross-country travelling at that point. Not that I've ever done tons and tons and tons of it, really, but... you get me adrift. Right, so I've got a... see, this is where I don't understand these signals, because that, as I understand it, was a distant signal telling me caution, but the main is clear, and then it's got a caution underneath it, and I thought these worked more or less the same as HV signals do, but they seem not to. I should really make more of an attempt to learn. I know the electric signalling, I can read that fine. I'm just absolutely rubbish at the semaphore stuff. Right, I think I'm irreparably late, or irredeemably late even. Now, so I'm not going to worry too much about making it in bang on time. Stuff it, we'll put that back on for this. Oh. see, I use the camera that infrequently. I can't even remember the buttons for that. I do like that a lot. I love the little details like the fan on the roof and stuff kicking in when it needs it as well. Things like that. Oh! Right, yeah, see, apparently there should be a semaphore signal at this signal box here. Because the next main signal on the line, which is the one it's counting down to now, as you'll see, we're doing 60 mile an hour. I still can't see the fucking thing. Still can't see it because of the trees. Still, there it is there. So you've got from here till that signal to stop from 60 miles an hour. Definitely something missing along that stretch of line. I'm convinced of it. And I'm sure it's that's the missing signal box signal thing that I've read about. I'd probably be better at this route as well, to be honest, if the signalling did work, because I think a lot of the silly wee mistakes I have is because I've got that crutch up in the top corner of the screen there. I've got quite a short attention span. You know what I mean? My eyes wander. I'm sort of trying to keep an eye on what you guys are saying. I'm looking at things going by out the window, and I'm looking at the instruments and stuff. I'm not really paying attention to the track the way that I do on, say, the Great Western or any of the Deutsche Bahn routes, where I'm confident enough in the signalling system that I can run without that. And if I could drive like that on this route, then I probably would play it a lot more as well. That would certainly be a draw too. Check me, I sound like a total elitist there, don't I? But then, I guess that goes back to what we were talking about earlier on, really, doesn't it? I mean, there really is something here for just about everyone. If you want to... if you need a bit more assistance from the computer, a few more visual cues and that, then, hell, if that makes the game fun for you, do it. But again, that's something I've not really seen a lot of in the train sim community. It's something that the motor racing game community are horrible for. Hey, you've got a racing line on, you're a total noob, and shit like that. I hate it. I really dislike it. But it's something else again I've not really seen in this community, is people mumping and moaning because somebody uses we're all Elite fans. I'm going to say 2 words to you chaps: docking computer. And I'm going to leave it at that. I've got no problem with any of that stuff at all. But for me personally, it grates on me when little details like that are missing, and it's as much that as anything else. It's an annoying oversight when they show such painstaking attention, loving attention to detail elsewhere. Right, I can't. The Manchester end's a nightmare for being downhill all the way in, and Leeds is uphill all the way in, isn't it? I think. Despite the fact I'm going downhill at the moment. Oh, come on! Stop, 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 stop. It was a docking computer that made my grind for the cutter tolerable, and I'm not going to make any secret of that whatsoever. I hated doing that at the end. Oh my god, I wanted that ship. Mind back when you used to have to work really hard to get a ship. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I think I might be coming off the power just way too soon. There's one thing I do remember about the approach to Leeds is it looks like you've got bags of time left, and then you forget that like the last sort of half a mile of it is done at walking pace nearly. I'm maybe being a bit extreme there, but that's just a line knowledge thing, a familiarity thing, I guess. The more you do this, the more you can anticipate the conditions ahead. Yeah, I've got to agree with you guys. Honestly, most of the changes that I've seen, and a lot of them I haven't really explored in great detail, but the sensors I did spend a lot of time mucking about with. They haven't changed anything in the last update or two that I've thought, I wish they hadn't done that. I mean, let's be honest, we've all been on the internet long enough now to know that an MMO reaches a certain point in its life and the developer basically rewrites the whole beginner half of the game for the benefit of attracting new players. That's as old as MMOs. So the only surprise is that anybody is surprised, really. Oh, I've just shed the electrical load. Broke it. Shit. Right, I think I have actually legitimately broken it. Uh-oh. Right, what do I do? I can try and coast from here, but what do I do? I don't know this train well enough to be breaking things in it. Oh, fuck. Oh, it goes uphill as well on the way in, doesn't it? Oh. That's what I'm going to try if it stops. That tends to fix most problems. Let's see if we can Let's see if we can coast some of the way. Actually, if I don't get a red, I might be a bit touch and go on the speeds, but if nothing's red going in, we might get away with this. Oh, you fucker, listen to that. When I put the throttle off, you can hear the thing popping and banging. Way. Right, I know I'm going too fast, but I'm really reluctant to like trade any of the speed away. Yeah, I don't want to stop. I don't want to stop. I wonder if it's as simple as... Nah, whatever that red light is, it's staying on. Literally nothing else on this train needs the brakes off before it'll work. Oh, derailed. How did I derail? Oh well. Oh dear, oh dear. That seems like 15 miles an hour, really? Oh. Oh well, there you go. You saw it here first. You can derail at 15 miles an hour on the way into Leeds. Whatever I'd done to that train, I'd well and truly knackered it anyway by then. That's disappointing. Oh well. Oh, we're not going all the way back to the beginning. Times like this, I kind of sometimes wish that it had some sort of auto save every 5 minutes as well. It's not the worst end I've had to a ballsed up scenario, man. I did it yesterday as well, actually. No, I ran through a red yesterday, I think, when I was not paying attention in a siding or something like that. The situation normal for me, mate, is at least one massive disaster per stream. It's kind of it's what I seem to do, to be honest. Like I've said, don't learn from what I do, learn from my mistakes, man. That's the best approach to this. But, right, that's so gold. It's got 11 o'clock, so I've actually been sat here for quite a few hours now. I did a wee bit more than I intended to. So, the fault light comes on if the brakes are fully charged. Engine stop, engine on. Right, if I ever break that again, I will remember that. To be fair, yeah, I usually stop it and just recycling everything would be the way. But I was curious to see if I could have made it to the end. But sadly, it was not to be. Yeah, manual. That's probably not a shit idea for me to have that when I'm doing these in future. When I've not been on it for a while. But that, I think, is where I'm going to call it for tonight, guys. So thanks very much, as always. It's been an absolute joy. And with a new locomotive just around the corner, I'm sure it'll be no time at all before I'm back on again. So I'll see you all soon. Have a good night.